Any other announcements before I turn this over? I want to welcome Mark. Are you talking? Who's Kevin? Kevin's talking. Okay. We've got so I get I think it was an email, and then we had a follow-up phone call that these guys said, hey, we're at the Guitar Center. We like veterans. We want to do something special for veterans. And I said, well, we do this veteran breakfast. Why don't you guys come in? And they said, okay, can we play? So I said, sure. So here we are.
Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. So like I said earlier, my father was a Marine Corps veteran. He served, he did 3 tours of Vietnam early on during the war, and he was a very proud veteran. My older brother also was in the Army for 4 years. He was in Germany when the wall fell. So, and I think I was in line to go, but then I discovered the classical guitar. So, but I thank you for your service. I really do mean that, and I'm very, very happy to be here. So my name is Kevin Vanderbilt. I'm with the Guitar Studio Grapevine. So the Guitar Studio Grapevine, this is actually the second location that we've opened. The first location opened in 1983 by guitarist Michael Daly, who was a prominent figure in the area. He played a lot of gigs and had a lot of students. And one of his students that he taught was Will Douglas, who was a dear friend of mine. In 2021, Michael unfortunately passed away, and Will called me when I was teaching in Alabama, and he's like, hey, I need some help. And I wanted to get out of Alabama. And if you've ever been to Alabama, you probably understand that. But anyway, so he called me and said, hey, come on, let's do this. And my wife was like, she's Texan, so she's like, yeah, let's go. So we moved right down the street in Grapevine, and I started working with them in Fort Worth, building the studio. And our plan was to eventually open one in Grapevine and beyond. So we have our location in Grapevine, which opened in 2024, and the new one in San Antonio that is currently, hopefully, get all the paperwork in and we can start accepting students there as well. Another thing that's exciting about the studio is that we have a foundation, a nonprofit. And one of the things that we did this year was sponsor one of the biggest international competitions in the world. We offered a $15,000 first prize and had a very talented young guitarist win that, and we'll continue it again next year. But the other part of the mission for the foundation is outreach and education. So one of the things that we talked about, and what Mark and I were talking about, is we'd love to partner with you at some point to provide adult classes, which we have the space at our studio in Grapevine, and through the foundation, through grants, offer that as a service to you all. So anyone here ever play guitar? Interested in playing guitar? Awesome. Well, we can talk afterwards for sure. We do specialize in classical guitar, and I know that scares people. He's one of my classical guitar students. But we also teach all styles. So if you want to learn how to play, or if you want to play, or you want to play jazz, we offer it all. So you want it's a lot of fun. I've been doing it for a long time. So I want to play just a little short piece for you, just to show you like a little piece that I would teach, that Mark will probably end up learning pretty soon. So like a little student piece, and then I'll talk some more. And please feel free if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. But I'm going to play this little piece by Francisco Tadeo. It's called Studio E Minor. And like I said, we are planning on offering adult classes this summer, and we can talk further about what we can do to work with you guys, because music is it's a very therapeutic thing for sure. My wife, she was a jazz singer, now she's a therapist, and she uses music when she can field, and I've taught many music therapists that have worked with, a variety of patients and clients, and I do think it's a fun thing for sure, and it's a thing to just kind of lets you escape, and get into your own world. So I been playing guitar for over 40 years, I think. Yeah, that's about right. And it's definitely a gift. So, anybody have any questions? Mark, did I miss anything?
The only other thing is we have a few brochures if someone needs information continuing, and also the studio does also sell some very high quality guitars. These two guitars are made by Altamira, which is Guitar Studio is the U.S. partner for Altamira Guitars. And so if anybody wants to pick that up and play it and try it and plunk around with it, feel free. That's what it's here for. That's all. Thank you again. As you said, thank you for your service, and thank you for letting us come today. This is a great group.
Yeah, and if we can do anything for you, please let us know. We're actually just right down the street on 114, close to Perry's, right by the Tom Thumb. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I gave him a coin. Okay, let's reset the slides. And now it's my privilege to, oh, he's running away. Sudden urge to go to the bathroom. Well, it's my honor to introduce Tim Miller. Tim is one of the newest GallantFew board members. I've known Tim for, I don't know, probably 10 years or so. And he's an awesome guy. I'm looking forward to hearing his story. So welcome.
Cool. Thank you. So, I don't know, this is kind of weird if I'm up here. All right. Let me do this. So I brought some notes with me to keep me on track. That's about 40 pages. Just kidding. Big text. And so talk amongst yourselves while I go through these because they're backwards. So you tell stories. That's what actually we're going to be talking about today, storytelling. Very cool. Kevin, that was really cool. Nice juxtaposition to my own journey. And this is me, real quickly. I have a business. I'm a CEO for Visual Edge. We provide video, what I call video first SEO, mainly for construction companies and real estate firms. It's really cool. We help them get found, be the authority in their space. If you want to know more, please get a hold of me later. 1986, I got the call. It was not a call from a recruiter. It was a call from my drinking buddies. They said, Tim, we're all joining the Navy together. All three of us. Are you in? And at the time, we were also 80s band buddies. Who doesn't like 80s rock? So I wanted two things out of life in '86. Actually, I wanted three things. The first one was to be drunk. The second one was play rock and roll. And the third one was do them together. Win-win. The three of us all joined the Navy at different times. One of them, he joined as an operations specialist, did not have a good time, did 4 years, got out. Another one joined, and after about 2 months, I think he came out of boot camp, called me up, and he said, Tim, don't go into the Navy. It's horrible. Don't do it. If you're going to do anything, go in the reserve. So I didn't even research it. I joined the Navy. So reserve. I was in for about a year going to school, fire control technician A school. Lots of electronics. It was really cool. I learned a lot. I come from a family of electricians, so a lot of what I learned was super helpful. If you don't know fire control, it's all of the electronics and electromechanical processes, technology that goes into firing the buttons for missiles and guns and torpedoes and stuff. So it was cool, but I was back then in the 80s, if you know anything about the reserve, it was weekend warrior mentality. I was not providing a service to the Navy that was beneficial, in my humble opinion. maybe they thought I was, but readiness back then was not the same as it is now. We were just going through the motions. And then when you did your 2 weeks a year, I don't know why it's 2 weeks, it should be something different. You have a little bit of a training skill set, and then all of a sudden you're put into an area where you have people babysitting you, because they have the experience, they have the skills, and it's just a very awkward situation. I did that for 6 years. I got out in 1991. I fulfilled my obligation. That's really, really all I felt at that point. And it's just like anything else. I was a young kid. I could have put more into it, but I think the system plus my attitude kind of stifled that whole thing. I'm going to back up a little bit. This is my wife. I met her in, I don't know why I'm looking at my notes, my gosh. I'm glad she's not here.
It's being recorded.
Shoot, just go watch the video. So I met her in '91, and actually it was kind of cool. I was on a cruise, a Navy cruise, actually. We were involved in this storm called Hugo back then, and we were off the coast of somewhere off the coast of Florida somewhere. And I actually did a ship to shore call with her. That was pretty cool. We had to go, can you hear me? Over. And she had to do the same thing. It's pretty neat. So I met my wife in 89. Moved to Texas in 90. We lived in Novi, Michigan at the time. And in 93, my first son was born. In 91, I got out of the Navy because life was hard. And in 94, I trusted Christ. Huge decision, the best decision I've ever made. And if you want to know more about that, come up and talk to me. I'd be glad to get into that a little more with you. I believe I had a pretty good life at the time. I was doing things. I also started a business at the time. Started working in video production, understanding how it worked and all that stuff. I also had the opportunity to, yeah, that's me. This present, so it's just to tell you what I did. I also had the opportunity to go to did lots of mission trips all over the place. Kenya, Mexico, India. Went to Mexico probably 3 or 4 times, telling stories using video. And it was great. I saw some great changes in life, really awesome things happening. But what I also saw was every missionary, and I will almost, maybe 99% of all missionaries in the world are pretty good at their job, horrible at telling your story, which is kind of interesting. You know, the one thing that you need, you're really bad at. And so I had a personal challenge at that time. I wanted to do better. I wanted to create something, create a system for storytelling, not just for that, but just in general. I still, though, I was not stepping into what I needed to do. In my mind, I created courses to teach kids, younger adults, how to do this, and also I wanted, I don't know, something about storytelling just really made me want to do more. If there was I can't remember exactly, but I think it was Steven Spielberg, maybe in the 70s, early 80s, he saw that stories were being faded away, the stories of Holocaust survivors. So that was one of his drives to go and capture a lot of those stories. And that really resonated with me. But I kept telling myself, when I have time, when I have money, things are not so out of control, I'll do it. That's what I'll do. And it was just a bunch of excuses, really. So this is a shot of, this is one of my, with SR, you want to have a picture in your mind. This is my picture. These are my 3 kids. This is, I think, 2011. Just everything is about them and my wife, and I want, and of course my God, but I just want to make sure that that picture is in my mind as much as possible, because they're so forgiving for the time that I took to go do cool stuff. Those are elephants back there. It's really cool. Actually, really quick story. So the guy that shot this, this is the second time that he let me shoot with elephants. The first time, I was shooting video, and they were literally about 200 feet away from me, and I was walking closer to them. There was 3 of them, like that, with their heads towards each other. I kept getting closer, and he was in the car. He said, "Mr. Tim, you're getting too close, Mr. Tim." And I said, no, I'm fine. And then one of them backs up and turns toward me. I ran like crazy. He was laughing at me. I told you. So, I said, hey, let's do this again. No, we'll do it my way, he says. You stand there. Moving along. So, the excuses I told myself when I'm ready. And then what happened is I had a friend who was studying for the bar in my office. He kept hearing me get turned down by clients. And he was a lieutenant commander in the reserve, and he just comes up to me and says, "Tim, you know what? I think it's time for you to go back to the Navy." And I said, "No, I'm 39, I'm old, there's no way they'll take me. I don't have the skills that I had before, which were useless back then." And he just looked at me and he said, "If it meets the needs of the Navy, it'll happen." So that was in 2007. It happened. And this time, totally different. The game was different, reserve was different. The needs of reservists were huge. So I had the opportunity to tell stories, do my thing. I was called a mass communication specialist, which what I did was, it's basically a photojournalism with a lot of video. I shot a lot of video all over the place. And I was super fortunate that there were exercises all the time, all over the world. And I volunteered for as many as I could. And that's why my wife is so awesome and forgiving, because I was out probably for maybe 6 years. I was gone for probably a week every other month. And I would go to a different country. During my tenure, I visited 16 different countries. And this one is, I think that's Malaysia, Bangladesh, I don't know where that is, somewhere. I had a camera on my shoulder. We were shooting, I don't even know, I was shooting VBSS. If you don't know what that is, it's Visit, Board, Search, and Seizure, when a small boat comes up along a larger boat and they seize it. That was Japan, Hawaii, that was aboard the USS Texas submarine. That was in Singapore, I think. Can't remember. And then Vietnam, cute, those guys. That was in Virginia Beach. No, Virginia. And I think that was in New Orleans, maybe. I don't remember. That was aboard a sub. And this is just a map to show, I don't know, it's really just for me. It hangs on my wall. So this is cool. So in 2009 and 10, I did a deployment. I volunteered for a year to go and help out the SWICs. And if a lot of you guys are in the Navy, so you know what SWICs are, but if you don't, a SWIC is kind of like a SEAL, but they drive boats. SWIC is a special warfare combatant craft crewman. And this is actually a shot from a video shoot that they did for the movie Act of Valor that was in, I think it was in 2009. And it was the first time first time the Navy allowed live fire to be used for production. And this is a riverine boat. So I hung out with these guys for a year. And I say deployment because I agreed to do it, and I was in Virginia Beach, so it wasn't too terrible. I worked out with the SEALs. I was the joke because I was the old guy, and had a lot of fun. Learned a lot of stuff. when you're deployed, everything's different. And the cool part is that being a reservist, having a skill set that they need, there was a demand for, and it was a win-win. I was able to use my craft. There's a Venn diagram. Let me see if I can figure this out. There's a Venn diagram where you have three circles. One is your skill set, one is people who can serve, and one is the desire, the ability to do that. And I was right in the middle, right there. So I was feeling pretty good. But the point that I was making is let me move on. So in 2010, I was with these swigs up in the Philadelphia area. They were being honored for something, and a tragedy happened. A duck boat had gotten run over by a tug, and it was horrible. A couple of people died, but the cool part is that our guys were available, and I'm going to play this real quick. Let's see if it'll play. So we were available at the time, and of course I was there shooting it. This is what we call standard definition video. This is in 2010. But we were able to come by and rescue a whole bunch of people out of the water, where the Coast Guard and the police could not, because they had larger boats. It was difficult for them to do that. And we had a lot of sailors just dive in the water and swim and rescue people, pull them up, and they did triage. It was pretty amazing. They were there for an event, and they used, that's called a rubber raiding craft, I believe. But I think that's it. It was cool stuff. So in that whole scenario, it also became a little bit of a news craze. We had probably 7 or 8 different news organizations come out, and I had to train a senior chief how to speak in front of the camera, and he did not want to be in front of the camera, so I had to tell him what to do. I said, look, here's the deal. Speak effectively, slowly, and if you make a mistake, stop and start over. These guys are experts, they'll edit everything. And after 5 or 6 times of doing that, he got really good at it. Then I got a call from MSNBC. Hey, we're doing a live uplink in an hour. So I had to go pull him out of a boat, and then I told him, hey, all that stuff, don't make any mistakes. And so he was not excited, but I did tell him, the most important part is we are coming alongside the Coast Guard. Our condolences out for the families. Anyways, it was a PR home run. And the cool part is that lives were saved because we were present, not because we were ready. And that's kind of the mantra that I'm going for. Fast forward a year later, the tsunami hit in Japan, and I was able to take off for a month to go and relieve my fellow mass communication specialists who were on the ship, on the USS Blue Ridge, the 7th Fleet flagship out there. And what was cool was that, actually, you know what, I'm going to play this real quickly. I did a podcast a while back with an admiral who was also there at the same time, and we talked about it, but this is the intro to that podcast. And this has audio in it, okay? Riley? Ready? So no audio. It's okay. Oh, I can.
On a Richter scale earthquake off the coast of Japan that led to a tsunami, which led to, unfortunately, the wiping out of complete towns, and the loss eventually added up to 20,000 people. It was just a crisis of which hopefully some will never see. It's safe to say that we were the pointy end for our nation responding to another nation in need.
So what was cool about that is aboard the ship, my skill set was pretty soft. What I did was I spent hours in the middle of the night calling through all of the media. We had embedded Japanese broadcasters on all of our ships, and reading the stories of these broadcasters was amazing. They were breaking down on camera because of the generosity of the U.S. sailors, just giving everything they had to survivors. And we had just countless stories of lives being saved. And one of the coolest things that I got out of that, I was able to do the commander's update brief daily for a month. And what that did was that relieved our main specialists to use high definition video. They were tasked by the Japanese government. After about a week or so, bodies started coming up. And so they were tasked to go identify bodies. So we had helicopters all over the place. It was pretty moving. There's lots of really cool stories. More about that later. I don't want to get all emotional, but it was very cool. And you know, the cool part is that, you know, lives are saved just by being present and available. And you know, I'm getting ahead of myself. So where are we, Tim? All right, Chanel. Still waiting. What's this? So again, I was still waiting. I was still looking for something. Not looking for something better to do. I still wanted to make a huge difference, right? I still wanted to do that course, teach kids how to do the thing that I'm doing. I also wanted to interview veterans because their stories are awesome. My wife's dad served in Korea for 3 years. 3 years. He lived to be 86. So I kept telling my kids over and over, and no matter how many times you hear the same story, act like it's the first time. And what's sad is the stories that we heard were teeny tiny little snippets, right? It was 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. In the big picture, I would have liked to get the whole context. I would have liked to hear the whole story, because I think that's super moving. Actually, I'm gonna fast forward something I was gonna say later, but kids want to hear stories on 5 different levels. They want to hear stories about themselves, their identity. They want to hear stories about their origin, their family, their parents, their ancestry. They want to hear stories about their culture, the rules of the game, discipline. They want to hear stories about their place, their home, their city, their state. And lastly, most importantly, they want to hear stories about meaning and purpose and their God and the possibilities and order. And so when you can hit those stories, when you can tell those stories effectively, you're really shaping somebody's mind. And I've always had that in the back of my mind. I really want to tell stories. And to be honest, I mean, I still, even up to that point, I didn't do anything about it until podcasting became a thing. So I started stepping into podcasting, and I started telling stories of veterans. And I think it's a half an hour, but I get to hear those stories in a little more detail. Plus, it's something very cool for somebody to be able to tell a longer story. You know, I'm going to back up. So my wife's dad, who served for 3 years, you all know this. The military is so impactful. When he died, the photo that he wanted on his coffin was his Air Force photo. How cool is that? 3 years, 86. Telling more stories, veterans. I also started, I didn't have the time to do this, but I started a podcast with my pastor. He did his dissertation on churches that have cult-like behaviors. And we were talking about it one time, and I just said, look, you know what? People need to hear these stories. They need to hear what's going on so they can make a difference. Basically, the big picture is that I stopped waiting. And then the other thing that happened too, just recently, actually, this guy right here, Carey, Dr. Carey. He introduced me. He didn't introduce me. He basically pushed me into being a board member for GallantFew, which, yeah, I know, right? I know. And so, you know, up to that point, I was involved in veteran programs, but it was really, to be honest, it was transactional. What can you do for me? What can I do for you? It was very business related, and I really didn't. I wasn't all in. However, I'm all in now. By the way, just letting you know. And I am a. I don't think they.
Can we announce it today?
One of the reasons that he suggested for me for a board member is not because I'm an awesome CEO, not because I'm a great speaker, great leader. Although my team thinks I'm a great leader, they I have them fooled. They it's you know I've been marketing for a long time, and I have a lot of great ideas that I believe will help GallantFew save more lives, basically save more lives. I mean, it's a cool organization, right? Those are my kids right now. That's my oldest and my youngest and my daughter in the middle. She just became a doctor, by the way. So my final challenge, I guess, is your story matters. Your stories matter. Your experiences matter. And if you keep waiting, they're going to fade away when you fade away. I don't want that. That concludes our talk for today. Thank you very much.
Questions?
Anybody got any wacky questions? No? Nobody? Okay, one guy in the back. How old am I? I'm just kidding. There's nobody. I'm good.
No questions. All right. I'm going to ask you to stay up here for a minute, but down here. Stay up down here. And you probably already have one of these, but now you can give that to somebody else.
Very nice.
So, Tim, very nice job. Everybody give